In today's episode, we're going to talk about RFEs, something that people dread. They are a request for evidence, USCIS asking for more information. I'm going to show you how they look like, how they are structured, and how you should structure your response to an RFE so you have a successful experience. Let's jump in. An RFE is a letter in which the USCIS asks you to provide more information. And this can be regarding multiple types of filings. It can be an I-140 or 485. Those are typical forms for the EB2 and AW category, but also for an I-130 for visas, for citizenship application, for a variety of things. The officer needs more documentation, and for our category, EB2 and AW, that can be evidence to support one of the three prongs of the matter of Danazar. And by the way, if you want to learn more about those, I have a video that you can click here and learn more about. It can be evidence of the advanced degree, for example, your diploma, or exceptional ability if that is the route that you chose. It can be that you have missing or incomplete documentation in either the forms themselves or the exhibits, all the documentation that you have to attach to your petition and to your cover letter. Maybe they want to see translations. You always have to provide translations if some documents are in foreign languages. So maybe they want to see them if you miss them. Or it can be a request for a medical examination record. That's form I-693, and that was actually my case. I got an RFE, and it was a good example because it was not a bad RFE. It was an RFE where they were asking to provide the medical examination, which ended up meaning that I got a waiver for the interview because typically they ask for that record in the interview itself. How does it look? It's a pink letter, and actually that's the popular name for an RFE, the pink letter. And people panic when they see a pink letter, but like I already said, and I will reiterate later, not all the RFEs are bad necessarily. So I wanted to show you this. This is a real RFE that I got, the one about the medical record and the different parts that you can see. You have to see the official USCIS seal. You will see the date they issue the RFE, your information, address and name. The purpose of the RFE is always listed. This was related to the I-485 form or the adjustment of status. Title again showing the same thing. And then different sections that I summarize in the next slides. And those are these ones, the structure of the letter. You will see a why section, why we are writing you. And that's the general reason, very generic reason. Example, in my previous letter that I showed, they need more information about the adjustment of status petition, the I-485. No detail, just generic. Then they have a what you need to do. And that's the specifics. For example, they need my form I-693, and that's the medical exam form to continue the process. When you need to do it. The date by which they must receive the response. And I underline receive because this is not when you have to mail the response. They have to get your response by that date. And it is known that they allow a period of grace of 3 days, but I would always avoid being too close to the deadline because you don't want to be on that grace period. You want to be way ahead. Finally, they have a where, the address to return the documents. And typically you will see two addresses, one for regular mail, for example, USPS, and then one for express mail, for example, if you use something like UPS or FedEx. And I'm going to go back to see this here. Here you see submit the documents to this address. Regular mail, you have this address, and then express mail, you have this other address. Okay, so those are the sections for the RFE letter. And then some people confuse RFE and the NOID. So let's just take a second to talk about those two. RFE is a request for evidence, and it can be bad news, it can be neutral news, and it can be even good news. For example, in my case, it was actually good news. It meant that they were asking for something they usually ask in an interview, so I already assumed at that time that I was not going to have an interview. So NOID is a notice of intent to deny, and in the title you can already see that it's more negative. Typically, this is bad news. This is something like the case is really not looking good, not solid. There's too many pieces of evidence. Big chunks of the petition are missing, um, and this can happen even during the adjustment of status if a person doesn't submit the documentation that is typically asked um, of them. For example, passports and previous visas and birth certificate and so on. So what should you do when you get an RFE? Number one, do not panic. People panic when they see a pink letter, but they are actually not bad. They are your second chance to fix something. Sometimes it's even positive, like in my case. Read the letter really carefully. Read it a few times. Ask someone to read it for you, tell you what it is, so you can really understand what they are asking for. Three, note the deadline in the letter to make sure that you can produce the evidence at least 1 week in advance. This is my personal recommendation. So you have buffer time, you have 1 week to let the thing go in the mail, and that's something you cannot really control. So give it plenty of time. The sooner you can submit it, the better. Prepare your response. Once you understand it, you know the deadline, you draft the response, and then mail it with enough time. Avoid a disaster because you cannot control what happens with the mail. How you should go about preparing your response to the RFE? Well, here I have a real response, a cover letter that I put together for that RFE that I showed earlier. You basically can show your name and your address, the USCIS address you're sending it to, then the title, this is a response for their RFE, your applicant name clearly stated again, receipt number, that's the case information, put it there, and your A number, that's a number for each applicant that you should have in all your documents. And then draft a typical to whom it may concern. This is the request for evidence, and this is what I'm attaching. Original copy of the RFE, because they always ask for that, so make sure you put the original pink letter there. And then the form that they were asking me to provide. In other cases, they may provide something different, a copy of the passport, more evidence for one of the prongs of the matter of danza, whatever it is, just put it there. And then thank you, do not hesitate to contact me, and I put the address again. You can put the email address, phone number, respectfully submitted, some closing comment, and then your name and signature. And always sign things in ink because it looks so much better. Make sure you enclose the original pink letter. Like I said, it will tell you that in the letter, by the way. USCIS does not allow multiple responses, so make sure that you put everything they are asking for in this response. You will not have another chance. This is your 1 second chance that you have. You cannot just submit a response and a few days later say, oh crap, I forgot something, I'm going to send another cover letter with another response. You don't have that luxury. Keep a copy of everything you send. Take your final response, including this letter, their cover letter, take a scan of everything, copy everything, and keep it for your records. Always wise to do that with everything. This is it for this video. In the next video, I'll show you the 5 mistakes that you should avoid when preparing your RFE response submission. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel so we can keep growing this community.